Members and members of the public, it being 2:06 p.m. on November 15th, the Legislative Coordinating Commission is called to order. We don't currently have a quorum. Well, we do have one now. A quorum is present. The first order of business is to approve the minutes from the February 7th meeting. I hope the members have had an opportunity to review those minutes. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion to approve the February 7th, 2023 minutes. All in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we're on paragraph number 2. There's been proposed changes to the 2024 legislative plan for employees, benefits, and policies. We do have Michelle Urick, who is the LCC Executive Director, who will provide an overview, and then we will entertain a motion once she finishes that. Now, I will mention, see the motion that's provided in your members' packet to ensure all aspects are covered. So when we get to that portion, I just want us to be able to go forward. Ms. Urick.
Mr. Chair and members, I'm Michelle Urick. I'm the Executive Director of the Legislative Coordinating Commission. What's before you today is consideration of approval of the 2024 Legislative Plan for Employee Benefits and Policies. We often refer to this as the LCC Benefit Book. It provides health insurance, vacation, sick leave accrual, and numerous other policies related to legislative branch employees of the House, the Senate, and the joint legislative offices and commissions. The proposed changes that are before you are based on consensus of a nonpartisan staff working group that is representative of the House, the Senate, and the various joint offices. The insurance aspects of the benefit book changes are in alignment with the state employee group insurance program, or the State Employee Group Insurance Program, often referred to as a CGIP. A little reminder, if you haven't done your open enrollment, it closes today, so remember to do that, please. And these changes would be effective on January 1st, 2024. Some of the policy provisions that the working group is proposing you consider are to expand the use of lactation room to also include nursing children, to also encourage employees to register on Everbridge, which is a Capitol Security emergency messaging system, so that they can receive notifications in the event of an emergency on the Capitol complex. It recognizes the ability, which is an existing ability for appointing authorities to develop telework policies. This does not adopt any telework policies. Those would have to be adopted by the House, the Senate, and the LCC, but it just recognizes that that authority exists. It does add a legislative break holiday, and the legislative break holiday is defined as the Friday before the conclusion of the legislative break. It also indicates that in a circumstance where there may be more than one legislative break, that legislative leadership will designate the date that that holiday falls on. The changes related to balances for vacation, it moves, currently employees are only permitted to carry forward 275 hours of vacation. This increases it to 300 hours without requiring employees to use 1 hour of salary saving leave. The ability to carry forward 300 hours did exist previously, but it required that employees use 1 hour of salary saving leave in order to go from the 275 hours to 300 hours. And this particular provision is a provision that we're asking be effective today, so that's included in the motion for your consideration, so that employees can take advantage of this current calendar year. It also clarifies that employees may not use sick leave for vacation, employment, or other volunteer purposes. It permits the Senate and LCC to adopt policies that would allow for the donation of vacation time to executive branch and judicial employees who have been approved to participate in the vacation donation program. Again, this is similar to the telework change. It doesn't mean that that is available to employees upon your approval here at the LCC, it would require the appointing authorities within the Senate and the LCC to adopt a policy that would permit it. It also limits donation vacation balances to 100, a donation that can be received by an employee approved to participate in that program to 1,044 hours, and then permits voting leave for early voting as well as in-person absentee voting, and clarifies some provisions around employees who may serve as an election judge. And then finally, it clarifies that the House and Senate and LCC are separate entities for the purposes of deferred compensation. There's a number of technical changes, primarily to align with and conform with laws that were passed recently. The safe and sick time, the emergency safe and sick time law required some additional changes to our benefit book. There are some changes that will be brought forward in the future to comply with the Paid Family Leave Medical Act changes, but with that not going into effect, those changes are not here before you today. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for going through that. Any questions for the testifier? Speaker Hortman.
I was just wondering if you can explain that legislative break day, the Friday before the conclusion of the legislative break. It's just, I'm not getting it.
Sure.
Ms. Urick.
Mr. Chair and Speaker Hortman, traditionally, currently in the benefit book, legislative leadership is able to authorize any additional holidays. It's very, very common for legislative leadership to authorize the Friday that falls before Easter as an additional holiday. We did not lean towards recognizing a particular religious holiday, but rather are proposing that the Friday within the legislative break be recognized, so that for the purposes, for planning purposes, is really why we're bringing it forward for your consideration, so that employees know if they're going to take a long weekend or things like that, that they can plan that that is a day that they will have off.
Speaker Hortman, any follow-up?
Well, I think that what this policy contemplates is that there's one break. And in looking at and talking about the schedule next year, Easter and Passover are quite far apart. So there may actually be two breaks. So it's just ambiguous when it says the legislative break. You know, which break is it referring to? So I think it's a little confusing, that's all.
And
Ms. Urick.
Mr. Chair and Speaker Hortman, we do include a provision that indicates if there is more than one legislative break, that leadership will determine which day this holiday falls on.
That makes sense, thank you.
Any additional questions for the testifier? Seeing none, Senator French moves to approve the proposed changes to the 2024 legislative plan for employee benefits and policies. The increase to vacation balances from $275 to $300 is effective today. The LCC chair and vice chair are authorized to approve future changes related to meal allowances, and staff are authorized to make any technical and conforming changes. Is that your motion, Senator French?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those who don't approve of it, oppose, say nay. Seeing none, the motion prevails. Today is one of those difficult words day for me. All right, we are now going to provision number 3. Mr. Urick will walk through each of the resolutions, with each requiring a motion to approve. So after each motion, we will seek your approval. Ms. Urick.
Mr. Chair and members, the first motion before you is the LCC 11-1 resolution, and this is an amendment to a resolution that you adopted at the February 7th, 2023 meeting. During that meeting, you created the Subcommittee on Ethnic Councils. During the 2023 legislative session, a council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans was created, and the legislation that created that council specified that, similar to the ethnic councils, the LCC will appoint the executive director. And so what this resolution does is it modifies the name. Rather than referring to it as a subcommittee on ethnic councils, it would be a subcommittee on executive branch councils, and it would also recognize that the council, or that the subcommittee has responsibility for appointing the new council chair, council director.
Any questions Seeing none, Senator Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just briefly, could you explain where you come up with the executive branch council designation for this? Being so, we're the legislative branch, so to me, it's a little bit confusing. Could we talk a little bit about the name change?
Ms. Yurick.
Yes, Mr. Chair and Leader Johnson, we worked with the Department of Administration on the development of the position description for the new council and recognized that the ethnic council, to refer to the LGBTQIA2S+ council as a subset of the ethnic councils would not be appropriate. And they indicated that they're referring to all of the councils, not just the 3 ethnic councils that the LCC has traditionally worked with, but also the Council on Indian Affairs and the Council on Disabilities as executive branch community councils. So that was why we proposed the change, was to recognize that the LGBTQIA2S+ council is not an ethnic council per se. And so we were proposing language that, I recognize the challenge of this. We were proposing this just to be in line with the way the groups were being referred to broadly within the executive branch, and recognizing that each of them are executive branch agencies, the councils.
Any follow-up, Senator Johnson?
Not on this particular point, other than just with the naming aspect of it as well. I know that there's been a lot of changes to the identification of that particular group over time. So by putting in our policy the defined name like this, will that create any issues going forward if there is a determination that particular group's name needs to be changed going forward?
Ms. Yurick.
Mr. Chair and Leader Johnson, this resolution is only effective through December of 2025, and so, or I'm sorry, 24. And at that time, the LCC would adopt a new resolution, so we could absolutely capture name changes or any legislative changes that would be effective, that would impact it as well at that time.
Any other questions from the members? Seeing none, Senator French, will you move the adoption of the motion?
Yes, so moved, Mr. Chair.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion is approved. Members, we will now go to the advisory committee to the LCC Office of the Economic Status of Women. That is a motion again that once we hear the presentation, we will have to move to adopt it. Ms. Yurick.
Mr. Chair and members, the LCC 11-2 resolution, as Senator Champion mentioned, reestablishes the advisory committee on the Office of Economic Status of Women. This is an advisory committee that previously existed when the office was in place before. During the 2023 legislative session, the Omnibus State Government Bill provided funding and reestablished the office. And so this advisory committee would provide assistance to the director and advice and guidance to the director, Heather Heyer, who was just recently hired to head up that office.
Any questions of the testifier? Seeing none, Senator Friend's motion to approve the advisory committee to the LCC Office on this economic status of women.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
All in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. We'll now move to the motion to amend to the LCC. That would be the A3 resolution providing for co-chair rotation schedules. Ms. Yurick.
Mr. Chair and members, the LCC Resolution A3 amendment is an amendment to a resolution that was offered during the February LCC meeting related to co-chair structures as well as timelines of transferring the gavel. I've worked with Representative Long and have met with Senator Champion on the implementation of that resolution. And what these proposed changes do, they allow for recognition that existing groups may have either in their relevant statutes or in their rules rotation schedules already that have been determined. It also provides the co-chairs to mutually agree to another rotation schedule rather than having to be limited to the 30-day rotation schedule. I believe the Energy Commission just adopted a 60-day rotation schedule. And it also allows for the presiding officers over the House and Senate to allow a group to meet during a legislative session, during a session of those bodies, if it was necessary for them to do so. Last legislative session, the Pension Commission, for example, ran up against the possibility of having to hold a meeting while one of the bodies was on the floor. So that is what this amendment does.
Any questions on the amendment or the motion that is, well, the amendment that is before the body? Senator Friends?
Mr. Chair, thank you, Ms. Ulrich. Just to follow up, the Energy Commission yesterday chose 60 days. And Senator Marty deserves just a quick tip of the cap for sort of saying this is a way to look at the timeline that would prevent any gamesmanship or the passing back and forth. And Chair Aiken and I agreed on it, so this fits perfectly with that. And hopefully the spirit is if the chairs can agree, they can go their own way. So I'll be supporting the motion. Make that motion too.
Any other questions or concerns? Seeing none, Senator Friends, motion to approve resolution that provides for co-chair rotation is,
So moved, Mr. Chair.
seeing no other questions, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. We'll now go to the task force on emergency medical services. Ms. Urick.
Mr. Chair and members, the LCC 11-3 resolution recognizes that a task force on emergency medical services has been established. It outlines the membership for the task force and then also speaks to the convening of the first meeting of the task force. It outlines duties that are associated with the task force as well as identifies the timeline for the submission of a report to be August 15th, 2024. The task force will be staffed jointly by staff of the House and the Senate as well as the LCC, and so it lays out the different responsibilities that each of those staff will have. And then finally, it provides authority for $107,000 of LCC operating dollars to be made available for the task force. The task force is planning to have meetings outside of the Capitol complex, so there will be travel costs and potentially costs associated with meeting locations as well as additional staff. The LCC is very appreciative of the resources that were provided to the LCC, but we have very, very active task forces this year. So we are really doing everything we can to keep staff and appreciate them, and also so we don't have the capacity to absorb this with our existing staff before the February timeframe where many of those task forces will be submitting their reports.
Any questions for the testifier? Senator Friends, will you make the motion to approve adoption of the resolution providing resources for the task force on emergency medical services?
Yes, Mr. Chair, so moved.
All in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we'll now go to.
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yes. Senator Daines.
I just have a question just a point of inquiry, and maybe I'm not hearing it coming through on the Zoom process, but I'm not hearing any votes. So are there people actually voting yes and people actually voting no? Or
Senator.
is a silence and nobody voting no, meaning the bill is passing? I'm trying to make sure I know where we're going here.
Senator Daines, that is a very good question. So when I ask for votes, we are voting here, and it's audible as well. So they're not just waving their hand; they're saying yes or no. And so perhaps we can work on making sure you're able to hear what's going on here, and that we're able to hear you.
I
Mr.
just
Chair.
want to get a clarification.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And I think maybe what we're doing is we're forgetting to turn our mics on when we vote here. So maybe if a reminder of that when we vote would be helpful.
So Senator Daines, as usual, you have raised an issue that we will be mindful of. So thank you so much for your question. All right.
Thank you.
Anything else? So I'll make sure that I'm not ignoring the folks who are participating online. We also have Representative Long that's online, Senator Daines is online, and others as well. All right, we will now move to the EMS task force. I'm sorry. No, I think it's another. Is there another task force? Because I got it on my notes. Okay, sorry about that then. It looks
Yeah.
like it's twice on my notes, and I was just going according to my script right here. All right. Anything else at this time? Nothing else? If there's no other business, the meeting is now adjourned.